The South African Union of Students is concerned that the National Student Financial Aid Scheme might collapse. Since August, NSFAS has been battling to pay some of the students' allowances on time. There are also concerns that the applications for 2024 have not yet opened. Joining us now is Asive Dlanjwa from the South African Union of Students. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. As a union, have you been in touch at all with NSFAS to raise the concerns, especially around the issue of applications for 2024?
Good afternoon, and also good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. Yes, we have been, or rather we have raised these issues with NSFAS. As of last night, we would have written to NSFAS and the department. Obviously, it was not the first time we're raising the issues which we are raising in our statement, but we have raised these concerns with them. You are correct.
With NSFAS besieged with this crisis, which appears self-manufactured, do you believe that the fund can do a turnaround, that it is workable, it can fix itself?
We do not think it can turn around under the current leadership. If one thing the current leadership has demonstrated is an inability to turn the situation around. You are correct when you say these are self-created and self-inflicted problems, because these are issues which we have raised consistently and constantly for many months now, some of them more even for the last 2 years. And there does not seem to be an appreciation of these challenges or an ability and a competency to deal with them. So we do not believe that under the current leadership of the board, which has failed to provide any level of oversight to ensure that NSFAS is able to carry out its mandate, and also under the current leadership of the executive that is at NSFAS and the staff complement that has proven to be absolutely useless, we do not think things can turn around. We further do not believe that things can turn around under the under the manner in which the minister has been leading the sector. Hence why we have given the minister some deadlines to turn the situation around in our statement, and failure to do so, we believe that the minister must be excused.
Yeah, you've put here, you're giving him 14 days to act against the inability of the board, and some of the other requests also a call for him to ensure that in 7 days the issue of the 2024 applications is dealt with, that it's opened. Have you received any responses from NSFAS itself in your communication?
No, we have not received any communications as yet. We are hoping to receive those, but in any case, the communication that we are waiting for is a communication that tells us that within the next 7 days, applications will be open so that the children of the poor and the working class can apply. The only communication we are waiting is within the next 14 days, the minister must tell us that he is making the board to account for their failures in the leadership of the scheme, and that there will be a change in the executive and in the operations of NSFAS. The only communication we will wait for within the next 7 days is that the over 70,000 students that have not received their allowances, that are expected to write their exams on hungry stomachs and without their necessities, that they have since been paid, and that there are thousands of students that have appealed, some of them since in February, that their applications have been responded to. That is the only communication that we are waiting for, and failure for us to receive that communication, as we have said, it will be clear to us that the minister has utterly failed, the minister and the leadership of the board, they have utterly failed the poor and the working class, and that the president must act and remove them expeditiously, lest we find ourselves with a burning country come the beginning of the year next year.
Are you able to give us a number of students who are that you're aware of, who have not yet received their funds and are also studying on empty stomachs?
Our calculation, in fact, our assessment based on the numbers we received from NSFAS. NSFAS told us that out of the 10% of their beneficiaries, 10% of their beneficiaries have not been able to receive their allowances. They mentioned many flimsy reasons, but that tells us that we are sitting with likely about, since May, that have not received their allowances, we are sitting with probably around about 70,000. We are sitting probably with another further 10,000 or so that would not have received the allowances just in the last few months. Obviously, the number was more a few days ago. So we are probably sitting with at least just under 100,000 that we know for a fact that are on empty stomachs. This is, by the way, excluding those that were funded beginning of the year. Then they were told they are no longer funded. They appealed. Their appeals have not come through. Those students do not have accommodation. It's thousands of them. We don't have the exact number right now. They do not have accommodation. They do not have food and any other allowance that is needed for them to participate. And what often happens is that the majority of them, their appeals often come back successful. But now what will happen is that they would have lost this entire academic year, and those that would have made means to stay in school, they most likely will not perform well and will further now be academically and financially excluded for next year. So I can tell you for a fact that we are probably sitting with a good 150,000 students in the country that are in dire distress for one reason or the other, owing to the inefficiencies and the incompetence of the NSFAS from the board down and from the lackluster and the uninterestedness of the minister in ensuring that he turns the situation around in the scheme.
Yeah. Asive, you touched very briefly on the repercussions. What might happen should these requests fall on deaf ears come 2024 as that academic year gets underway? Expand a little bit on what you could do should these requests be ignored.
So if these requests are ignored, I think I must firstly just impress just how dire the situation is.
Yes.
If these requests are ignored, we are likely to lose over 150,000 careers, and those are people that are coming from poor and working class backgrounds whose families will remain in abject poverty, number one. Number two, next year we are aware that it is in an election year, and that the chances of things getting out of hand, people using many things for electioneering, are vast, and therefore we wanted to protect the sector from being used as a political playground. And that is why we would have hoped that the applications would have been opened by now. Failure for that to happen, it means we're going to have a crisis next year, and we are likely going to have our institutions of higher learning unstable for the entire year next year, or at least for the better part of the year. So failure for the minister now to act on these things, as we have said, we are going to lobby many organizations, progressive student organizations and civil organizations, who some of them, by the way, have already been fed up with the manner in which the minister has been failing to lead the sector. We are going to petition the president to say that if the president cares about the over 1.5 million students, that the president must act and immediately remove Dr. Nzimande from that post and appoint someone who will bring about stability in the sector. That is what we are going to do. Our sole focus will be the dissolution of that board, the firing of all of those useless executives from NSFAS, and that the minister goes home to retirement, because it is clear that he is now tired. Those are the three things that we will invest our last energies in ensuring, because lest that happens, we are guaranteed to have a very tumultuous 2024 for our students, which will further cost them academically, because turbulence costs our students, because they end up having to repeat years upon years. So this is very absolutely critical for ourselves.
Let's hope the Minister and the President have heard that loud and clear. Let me thank you for your time. Asive Dlanjwa of the South African Union of Students, making some very serious demands there, warning of an imminent NSFAS collapse.